Hey, what's up, Street Talks? Eric from the Eric Street Photography blog. So I wanted to share with you some practical thoughts on what does it mean to be an artist and essentially why be an artist. So I think this is a very important thing to consider because most of us as photographers, unfortunately, we don't really consider ourselves artists. And the reason why I think this is a big problem is that it's quite disempowering. And the sad thing is most photographers tend to talk down themselves, say, oh, first of all, a lot of people don't even admit that they're photographers. Like, oh, I just do photography on the side. And not only that, but if someone does photography as their passion, somehow there's this notion that photography in itself is not a legitimate art form. And, based on what I've learned, honestly, it doesn't matter where in the art world you are. No matter where in the art world you are, you're always going to find people to be pretentious and kind of trying to put each other down as artists. And I don't really think the point of being an artist is to become super famous or super rich or whatever like that. The point of art is for us to express ourselves, what's really authentic to ourselves, and for us to always feel motivation and inspiration to keep creating. And I see some of the greatest artists in history, whether they be musicians, actors, dancers, whatever. I think the only sad thing I notice when I see these individuals is when they actually lose inspiration for them to stop creating. So for example, I was rewatching American Gangster with like Denzel Washington and Russell Crowe, and it was a little bit sad. I was like, I don't know, maybe their new films aren't as famous, but I feel like they kind of fell off a little bit. And so, even thinking about like a lot of rappers, a lot of rappers come and go, they blow up really big and then just kind of forget about them the next day. So I think it's really important for us to think about ourselves as productive artists. And the question is, can I call myself an artist? Of course you can. I think anyone and everyone could become an artist as long as whatever they're doing in some sort of cognizant and conscious way. And so the question isn't so much like whether my art is good or bad. The question is whether I'm being authentic with my art or not. And I think that's only the only downside we could do as artists is that when we're making art that's inauthentic to us, which means when we're making art that we're just trying to impress other people with what we do rather than just trying to focus on making artwork that expresses ourselves. And I think that's what art is ultimately about. It's about storytelling, it's about self-expression, it's about taking whatever is in your mind, your soul, or your creative being and just kind of sharing it and putting it out there. And I think the more we think about art, the more empowering life is because you already have your camera, you have your iPad, your phone, you could use whatever tool you want to make art. Like sometimes you don't even need a tool, you could just sing, you could dance, you could rap, you could make poetry, you could just use a pen and pad. And this is one thing I've been thinking a lot about is that once you have all the bare necessities of life, whether you have food, shelter, clothing, and you don't starve to death, then what's the point of life and what's the best use of our human metabolism? And to me, it seems that the best answer is to just make art that's authentic to you, to make art that expresses your soul, that expresses your being, and essentially kind of gives you more energy and more positivity and more optimism throughout your day. And the question is too, is that like when you go to sleep, are you excited to wake up the next morning? When you wake up in the morning, are you excited to go on with your day? Ways to find more inspiration as an artist is just generally leave the house. If your passion is photography, maybe the best way to motivate you in your photography is that don't think of yourself as a photographer, just think of yourself as an artist or as a visual artist. And this way, when you're out making photos, don't just be like, oh, I'm just snapping pictures, is that you're making art. And this way, you'll take your play more seriously, and the more seriously you can take your play, the more you're going to thrive. So let's all continue to thrive as photographer artists, and just think to yourself, and maybe this is just your chance to share your opinion is, do you think photography is art? And when are you the happiest as a photographer? Leave a comment down below and share your thoughts. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Peace out.